be new, and we can drill down into more specific things and more detailed use cases as needed. It really just depends on how much time we have and where our questions lead us. Now, don't hesitate to ask any questions. Please, just whatever you think of, just go ahead and post it. I'll try to answer the question on the spot. If I can't, then I will send you a follow-up email or let you know who to reach out to if it's something that requires a deeper discussion. I won't be talking about pricing on here. I can talk about licensing here just really lightly, just to kind of explain the differences between the two, but obviously everyone's use case is going to be different, and therefore their license needs will be different. So again, my name is Christian. I'm one of the solution specialists here for Control, and we'll get started. Now, I just logged into my account. Everything on the trial is going to look identical to what you're looking at here with some minor changes. Based on the trial that you have, yes, Christopher, you can use Authy. And I'll talk to you about the two-factor authentication here a little bit later on in the demo. So based on the trial that you have or the license that you've purchased, you'll notice you either have all these tabs on the left-hand side or you'll just have one. So it'll be support, meeting access, and admin, or you'll have the access tab if you have the access license or the access trial. Control makes the connection one of two ways. You can do an attended session where you generate a link and a code and someone connects to you. You connect to someone on a one-time session. No installation, you're in and out whenever you need to, and you require someone to let you in as part of that process. The other option is unattended, where you install an agent on the machine. That agent maintains the connection at all times, and you'll never have to get someone to let you in. You get in and out at will, do your work, get out, and then that's it. But the connection stays on, waiting for you to reestablish. So those are the two main ways a connection is done on Control, and we're going to run through those. So the first one is, like I said, attended access. Attended access is done in the support tab here. When you click support and you hit create, you're going to see that a session populates in this field in the middle. I can create as many sessions as I need to, and depending on which license I have, I'll be able to connect to 1, 2, 3, or up to 10. It really depends on the license that you end up purchasing. We're only going to do one for today's demo. Let's close these up. So, for example, if I wanted to connect to one of you guys and your machines, I would tell you, hey, please go to my site. In my case, this is sales.screenconnect.com. But if you have an account, you'll customize this to whatever you think you need. It'll be xyz.screenconnect or your company name.screenconnect, whatever it ends up being. And then you'll type in a code. So it's going to look like this. Your end user goes to your site. They'll be presented with this screen. They'll type in the code. I'm not going to type it in here because it'll create a loop. But it'll be there. And then they hit this blue button right here. That's going to start a download for an executable. That executable is not an installation. It's simply something that you run to establish the connection. So let's say that they connected and all is good on there and they had no trouble there. You've got two gray bars here. Once your user connects, in this case, the user is the guest and you are the host. This gray bar would turn green. And then this one would turn green once you connect. So when I join this session, if I double click this and there's no one in here, I'll open this up. And now you'll see that my bar turned green, and here's my session. This is where I'd be doing all of my work, and I would see the other computer screen, but there's nobody in the session right now, so I can't show this to you, but I will show it to you a little bit later. And once they join, you'll be able to interact. And I can exit the session and then get back into it as needed, as long as I keep it open in my tab here. There it is again, same session. Now you notice all these icons here. We will go through all those and everything that's in this session here. So let me show you these icons too. Let's go here. So all this stuff up here, I will show you what this does. It's just a lot easier to show you inside of a live session, which I'll get to later on when we get to the Access tab. So don't worry about that. I've got a question here. Christopher's asking, as a host, every time you open a new session, you also have to open a new run of the app. That is the case for every new session, yes. But if you're going to be doing it through an Access session, that doesn't happen because you're installing something on a permanent basis. Hopefully that answered your question. So that's the support tab, very high level. You can see someone's screen with the link in the code. We're going to go into the meeting tab. With the meeting tab, the connection is done the same way. You still do a link and the code, but instead of you seeing their screen, they will see your screen. Here's one of my old sessions. Here's one of my old sessions right here. Double click. And this is what the meeting looks like. So I can share all my monitors or just one. It really depends on the scenario. Here's all the attendees here. You can annotate the screen, chat with each other, and give someone else control. So this is a really good tool for presentations and trainings. The audio, you can have audio and talk with the attendees like we're talking now. The only difference is it's not done through a conference bridge like what we're using. It's done through voice over IP, so you have to have the computer audio set up correctly. And then you can use a computer mic or a headset or something to talk to each other, which that's actually how I do it, but conference bridges are always a little bit better. So Control doesn't have that ability. It's something we're working on, but no ETA on that yet. So everything I just showed you, really quick and simple, was the attended portion of the Control. Is there any questions? Are there any questions on what you've seen so far? I've got a question here. Dominic is asking, can you download recordings of the sessions? The answer is yes, you can. And I will show you how to do that later. Okay, I think we're good on everything. So here's another question. So Rigo's asking, can you export the session audit? Yes, that is also possible. You can export that to a CSV, and I will show you how to do that later as well. Okay, I think we're good. Keep the questions coming. I really don't mind, and it makes it more interesting, and we can take the demo in any direction that we need to. So this is the Access tab, and this is probably where a lot of you guys will do most of your work. Every machine in here is populated by an agent. So you establish a connection by installing the agent on the machine, and it shows up in this list, and then this green icon shows up, and this green icon should always be on. These machines that I've got off here, either A, the agent's been removed, B, the computer lost power, or C, there's no internet connection. Either way, there's a problem. You can't connect to it. Now, if the machine has fallen asleep and you've enabled Wake on LAN, you can wake it up. But these are virtual machines, and that's not going to work for these machines here. But you can do that. So let's jump into a session here. Let me go back here. Let me backtrack. So when you create these agents, what you're going to be doing is going to the Access tab and clicking Build. You're going to have all these options here to fill in the agent's details. This can always be changed later, so don't worry if you misspell something or something's going to change. It's not permanent. You can even change the name of the computer machine anytime. If you use the machine name, it'll use the manufacturer's machine name. If you use a specific value, you can call it front desk PC or whatever you need. And then you choose the the installation file based on the OS that you're deploying it to. Here's a couple of different ways to actually deploy the file. You can send this out based on group policy and other mass deployment methods, so you don't have to go to every machine one by one. Now we've got a couple of different filters here. Let me go ahead and delete this filter here and then recreate it. So if you'll notice, this machine under the company right here that we've highlighted, it says Pup and Suds. And as a reference to one of my favorite Disney Channel movies, if anyone gets that. So Pup and Suds here is the company name for this machine, and this one, and this one, and this one. Now let's assume that I have 50 machines in here, and I want to find all the Pup and Suds machines. It's a lot easier to create a filter rather than scrolling up and down until I find it. You can search here, and that would also help you, but sometimes having a filter readily available is better. So what you would do is you would just create a session filter of a group here. You would name it, let's call it PMP. Now the company name is the first value, meaning custom property number 1. I don't know if you can see that in the grayed out area, but this is number 1, this is number 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, 6 here. So we're going to stick with 1 because that's where the company name is, and we're just going to change this to Pup and Suds. It's not case sensitive, so don't worry about that. And there. Now all machines here, PNP, all my machines with Pup and Suds in the name are in this list. If I go to, let's see, if I go to this computer that says company in Tampa and I change it to Pup and Suds, now it's populated in this here too, in this list too. So previously this list had 4 machines, now there's 5. Now there's a lot of different ways to set up custom filters and triggers. It's a little bit too expansive to really show you everything on here, but that's a really simple way to do it if you just want to filter by company and those values right there. Obviously, it's really up to you and how you want to organize your list. So any questions on what we've seen so far before I jump into a live session? Okay, I think we are good. So we're going to go in with this machine here. I'm going to double click to get in. All right, so here we go. So this machine is locked. I do have the password, but if you have it stored in the system, you can just prompt for storage or send it to the screen. I don't think we have it stored here. Let's try that. Oh, look at that. That works. I thought we didn't configure it that way, but we did. We've got a question here. So Rigo's asking, unattended access, do you need to have the end user logged in, computer locked? As long as the machine is on, you can connect to it. Now, if you get to the lock screen, obviously you can't use it if you don't have the credentials. So that's something to think about. Christopher, I think you're asking how do you delete the password that's been stored in the system. That actually, I'll have to show you a little bit later. I don't know how to do that myself because I haven't set that up on this instance. I know that you can. So when you store the passwords, it gets saved for the admins, and the admins can push it to the screen. That can always be changed or deleted if you don't want to store those passwords and you just want to manually put them in. It's really up to you how you want to do that. Okay, so let's get started on this live session. Now, the first thing you notice is this computer has 2 monitors. I am currently working off of 2 monitors as well, but I'm showing you guys our demo today from 1. So when I do this, it's not difficult to work off 2 monitors in one window depending on your resolution and the size of your monitor, but sometimes it can be a problem. So what you might want to do is you either want to focus on one screen here. I can maximize that as needed, or this one. Now, what other people will also do is if you have the same number of monitors or you just want to work off of extra monitors, you can pop these out. Let me pop this out here. Oh, I'm moving too fast. Pop that out, minimize that. And now here are my two windows. I can move them independently. I can maximize them on both of my monitors at home or in the office so that I can work off of them as if that was right in front of them and not have to worry about working within a restriction because the window might be too small. Now, if you don't want to do this, you can always just zoom in as needed to see text and things clearer. So let's go back to my session. You can change the quality of the session by clicking medium and low. That'll help with latency issues. This does not change any settings on the end user machine. It only changes the output on your machine. I can zoom in, share the desktop to someone else who wants to join the session. And I can enter into a backstage mode, which helps me interact with the UAC prompts as well as issue PowerShell commands. Christopher is asking, how can you set the default quality of the sessions so that they're always in high? It always defaults to that. So unless you change that manually, it's always going to default to high initially. So that's this first tab. This is called the View tab. Let's move on to the Essentials tab. A lot of this is really self-explanatory. Send, Control, Delete options to the screen. Send clipboard keystrokes. Dominic is asking, how do you interact with the UAC prompts? I can't trigger a UAC prompt on this machine because I've already got admin access to it by default, but there is a document that you can follow to help you interact with the UAC prompts. If you don't enable that, then whenever UAC comes up, you're going to get a blank screen. So you want to make sure that you do that so that you can push the admin credentials and continue your work. So more of a how-to for support. It's not really something that I can show you on this demo. But I'll give everybody contacts at the end of the demo so you can reach out to our support team and get some information on things that you didn't see here. So back into the Essentials tab, this is the Reboot and Reconnect menu, so you can reboot the computer, and once it gets past the BIOS and it gets to the login screen, it will reestablish the connection automatically, whether you reboot in safe mode or normal mode. This is where you can push out the credentials, right here, and save them. Suspend my input means if I turn this on, I can't click anything on the screen. Here I am, I'm trying to click every icon, it won't let me do that. If I block the guest input, that means I can click everything I want to, but the guest, meaning the person that you're connected to, won't be able to enter any keystrokes. Now, if they want to disconnect and they force it out, they certainly can do that with the Control-Alt-Delete, but other than that, the cursor and everything else won't register anything. I can block out the guest monitor in case you want to work and you don't want anyone to see what you're doing. Then what's going to happen is the guest is going to get a black screen. Require wake on lock, which helps you obviously wake the computer up if it's sleeping, and do remote printing. Remote printing allows you to print a document that's on this machine to your local computer next to you. Excuse me, local printer. Toolbox here helps you store executables for different tools that you and your colleagues want to share. This can be done via an extension or whatever you guys want to use in our extensions tab, but this all gets stored here so that people can just use certain tools. You have the option to have a personal toolbox if you want that, so you only have access to certain tools. Dana is asking, can it default to turn on remote printing without having to, I'm assuming without having to store or having to put that switch on every time? Yes, you can do that. That's something that you would do in the app.config editor or the web.config editor. Both of those are extensions, and I'll touch on those very briefly, but they're very expansive, so it's not something that I can show you on a demo here. Rigo's asking how much can you store in a toolbox? Is there a capacity limit? We do not have a hard limit on that. I've never seen anyone reach that anyway. Okay, so that was the Essentials tab. I think that's good for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to move on to the next one. Yes, the credentials are stored. I can't show you how to store them here because I don't have any credentials to store, but they are all encrypted, and ConnectWise Control itself it gives you the tool to be PCI compliant, but the responsibility rests on the end user. Okay, Vigo, so Varden is asking how to explain the toolbox a little bit more. So it's pretty straightforward. Whenever you have if you have an extension, I'm trying to think of one that you might want to use. Um, Not so much an extension, more of an executable. Let's say you want to run CCleaner on a machine, and you have that stored in your extensions in your toolbar here. So you want to run CCleaner to clean a registry or delete temporary files, etc. Yeah, there you go. Portable apps. Oh, look, Chris and I had the same idea at the same time. So yeah, CCleaner would be a good tool that you could store in here. Where is it? There we go. And it would be in here, so you could run it from the toolbar from this toolbox every time, even if it's not installed on the machine itself. So this is where you store things like CCleaner. Trying to think of what else. I'm drawing a blank here, but any executable that you want to run, Malwarebytes, yeah, that's true. Malwarebytes would work too. Antivirus solutions, that kind of stuff. So that would be stored into the toolbox here, and then you would run that, and then all of your colleagues with the necessary permissions can use the same toolbox and the same tools to run those and work as well. It's really just kind of giving you more functionality and more help within the session itself. Yep, and an advanced IP scanner would work too. Man, I couldn't think of anything just now. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. So, Varden, hopefully that helps. I know it's kind of really high level, but we do have this documentation that just pulled out. So this toolbox is exactly what we were talking about here. I will give you guys a link to follow after the demo, so you can pull up all these documentation links that I've got here kind of stored in case you guys were to ask me some things. But it's really straightforward. So if you have trouble, let our support team know. We are happy to help. So let me move on to the file transfer screen. Obviously, this is where you're going to send and receive files. You can send files to the end user, and they can send you files from their machine. You can choose where those files go as well. So if I want to send one of these folders here, I can do that. One of these files, I can do that, and vice versa. There's no limit on the size of the file that you want to transfer. It's really just whatever your internet connection and bandwidth can handle. If you try to send something that's 20 gigabytes, if your computer and internet connection can handle that, then go for it. We don't have a hard limit there. This is where you would take screenshots and save them. If you hit record here, I'll record what I'm doing here, and then I'll show you guys how to download that. I know that was a question earlier. I've got the computer audio set up here, so this is my voice over IP. I can talk to the end user if I need to. I can see who's in the session with me. So this is me, and here's the guest. I can annotate the screen. So I can say just draw rectangles and say, hey, click this button and that kind of thing. I can also let the end user do that. Customize the shape, and I clear it. I can also chat. So if there is no audio, I can say hi. There's a little notification in their taskbar. They say hi back. And here's my message, their message here. So back and forth chat with each other. I've got a couple questions here, so I will pause. First one is Christopher's asking, can you change colors? So are you talking about the ones in here or just the theme? If you're talking about the ones in here, it can be changed. That's all done in the app.config and the web.config editor, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But that's going to be something that you can change with those two extensions. Rigo's asking, can you add additional guests to the session? Yes, you can. Now, by guest, I'm assuming that you mean host on your end, because you can't add another guest in the same context that we're thinking about. So could you just rephrase your question for me? I'll try to answer it for you. Oh, another support person. Yes, Rigo, you can do that. Absolutely. So if, let's say that my colleague wants to help me or join the session and do whatever he needs to do, all he has to do is find my session, which is this one. There's my name. We're both connected. And then he'll just double click to get in. And that's it. As long as you have enough licenses for it, anyone can join any session at any time. Whether it's 1, 2, or 3 people, it doesn't matter. Varden is asking, will the client exe file ask for admin password to install? That, if you're going to install an agent, yes, it will ask you for admin credentials. If you're just going to do the attended session, then no, there's no need for admin rights. Z is asking, can the chat windows pop out? No, they're going to be anchored to the screen. If you're the end user, you can move them around here, but this one's going to be anchored to this toolbar here. But the end user can drag them wherever they need to. Ted is asking, does each session create a session log? It does create a session log, and I'll show you guys how to access those here in a little bit. Arden is asking, can you copy and paste directly to the screen? Yes, you can. The clipboard is shared back and forth. Can you save the chat session? You can do that too. I'll show you guys where that is once we get to the toolbars and the icons that are on the right side, which you don't see right now, but I'll show it to you in a little bit. Z is asking, can the end user end the session? Yes, they can. They can either just click this right here. It'll say exit. Nope, that's not the right one. Where is it at? Where is that toolbar? I think it's right here. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. So the end user will see the exit option. I'm not going to see it because I'm the host, but the end user can do that, and they can just end the session whenever they want to. They're not held hostage where they can't get out. They can certainly do that. Barden is asking, can you add multiple watchers? Yes, you can, as long as you have enough licenses for that. All right, we're going to go on and move on to the next piece of this, these toolbars here. There's only 2 left. So this is the helper. It allows you to search Google and the internet for issues. If you're trying to troubleshoot something, you just can't figure out what's happening. You can do this in the session, and it's not going to show up on the end user side. And then here's some high-level information on the session itself. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this for now. Let's go here. So this is the machine I was in. I'm still connected. Rigo's asking, how are updates pushed to the unattended agents? It's done automatically. We manage everything for you. It's a cloud-based tool. Christopher was asking to go back into the PowerShell window, the command prompt. I can. Let me know what specific questions you had, and I'll see if I can touch on that in the demo here. Now, there is a way to access the remote command line and issue PowerShell commands silently without actually having to be connected, and I'll show you guys that in just a few minutes. If you go to, so we talked about this here. This is where you name the machine and edit the information to help you find it. If you go to the General tab, this is where you're going to see some high-level information about the machine itself. You can see that I'm connected here. I can hit that X button and kick myself out if I need to in case I forget. Memory options, machine name. This is not a true RMM tool. It's built for remote access, so just make sure that you realize that. This is the timeline right here, the little clock. This shows you the timeline of who's been connected and how long. Here's my chat log from earlier. Now, with this, I can actually chat without having to be connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get out of this session. Now I'm out. You can see the green light turned off, and I can say, hi, can I connect? And the end user will have responded. Now they'll see a message here on their screen. Watch. There's my message right here. Hi, can I connect? Now, if they respond to you, that's their message here. And you'll get a red notification icon or bubble whenever that pops up. So you'll know which machine is talking to you. Christopher, this might be helpful for you right here. So this is where you issue remote commands. I can hit a dir command here and hit enter, and I'll see the results populated in this screen here. Here's some notes that you can add to the machine in case you want to give some help to anyone that's going to be joining that machine. I can say this machine is slow, or whatever you need to, and I can add it, and then I can delete that note later. Christopher was asking if I have an Atera agent installed with Splashtop, can I also have control installed? Yes, you can. There should not be any issue, at least not from the control side. I don't believe Splashtop would have an issue either, but you definitely want to test that. This should not be an issue, at least not from our side or from our development side. Varden has a question. Let's see here. So Varden's asking, is there a way to install an agent silently so that people that aren't very tech savvy won't have an issue connecting? You can do that. You would need the file, but unfortunately it's still going to trigger the admin screen. So there's no way around that. You have to enter admin credentials to actually install this. But you can do this all yourself without needing the end user to do anything, as long as you have the admin credentials. Rigo is asking, are the commands on the right-hand side that I just showed, which are these, are they logged in the timeline or just in the audit log? These are only logged in the audit log. It's not going to show up in this timeline here. So the notes are only going to pop up when you go to here. It's not going to show up anywhere else. No one else can see it. Varden, yes, you can delete the command logs. If I go here and hit the trash can icon, now that's gone. It's still going to be in the audit log, but it's not going to show up here. Okay. Good questions, guys. Thank you. So we're going on to notes. We did that. Now let me pause here. Everything I'm about to show you next, this is for the premium and the access license only. It's part of the remote diagnostic toolkit. So just keep that in mind when I'm showing this to you, because you may not have this installed as an extension unless you manually did it. This is the processes tab. You can kill processes remotely without having to be connected to the screen. I can kill this process here, and that won't affect the end user unless the process that they're actively using. I can uninstall software. I can see the event logs. I can stop, start, and restart services. And I can also install Windows updates. These are all the essential security Windows updates, not the optional ones that Windows gives you the choice to choose to install or not. Okay, so that is a really high level view, a little bit granular because you guys have some good questions of the Access tab and unattended access. I'll stop here for a minute and let me know if you guys have any questions on what you've seen so far. Rigo, I will show you how to download the CSV here a little bit later. That's actually coming up in a couple minutes. I'll show you that soon. Varden, I'm not sure I understand your question. Do you mind rephrasing that for me? So Christopher's asking, these tabs that I showed on the right, are these only for control if it's installed? The answer is no. This can be done with an installation or if you do a quick one-time session from here. Because here's my session. I don't have anybody in it, but here's all my tabs. So they're all still there and they're all still usable. Dominic is asking for a couple of my favorite extensions. Yeah, I could definitely do that. I have about 3 or 4 that I definitely encourage people to use and understand. Rigo's asking how long we keep the audit logs. So that's really, that's a good question. It's hard to answer. We typically store everything for 30 days or more. You can store it for longer, but you'll obviously need to download that and store it locally. Data in the cloud gets purged every 30 to 60 days. So if you need something past that, I recommend that you keep that local. Now, if you close the account and you stop using the tool, we typically store the data for about a year or so before it's completely purged. So hopefully that helps answer your question. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the admin tab. Once it loads. Steve's asking a question. Does the access pane have any functional difference between Windows, Mac, and Linux? Is there a way to filter the view for each OS? So, great question. With Mac and Linux, there's less of a feature set from what I was showing you guys earlier. It really depends on the version of Mac that you're running on, but you're not going to see. Let me think if I can show you this to you. I don't have Mac on here. Steve, let me actually follow up with you in an email for that because that's a really good question. A lot of people might want to know. If anyone else wants to understand the Mac differences, post in here and I'll send you all emails separately with a screenshot of what that looks like. We don't have a test environment for Mac here. But I'll leave this up so I don't forget. All right, Christopher and Steve, I'll send it to you. All right, I'll just assume that it looks like Dominic too. I'll assume that everyone wants to hear the answer to Steve's question, and I will send you all a follow-up email later today with the answers on that. Now, what I will say is that when you are using a Mac, if you are hosting a connection from the Mac and you're connecting to another Mac or another Windows machine, when the Mac is the host, that's where you're going to see the difference. But if you are a Windows user and you're connecting to a Mac or a Linux, so when the host is a Windows machine, you will see everything that I just showed you. It's only going to change if the Mac is the host. But again, I'll send everyone some details on that after the demo's over. Varden has a question. see here. Yeah, Varden control can be used to take workgroup machines and make them remote from the Access tab. You'll want to do a mass deployment. There's different ways to do that. So shoot an email over to our support team and they can work with you on what's the best way for you. Or you can just kind of go for it on your own. It's very straightforward and relatively easy to mass deploy these agents. They're very light agents. I think 5 or 6 megabytes. Only take about a minute or so to install, if that. So you shouldn't have any issues. Okay, so let's go back into the admin tab and right here. All right. So the status bar should almost always be green if you're cloud. If you're on premise, you will see some different colors here because you're going to be maintaining your own environment. But ideally, this is always going to be green. Sometimes this version check, you might be a version behind because we might put out something new and we only release that in batches. So there's really nothing for you to do here. Here's the extensions tab. I know one of you were asking me about my favorite extensions, and I was going to show you some things too. So let's highlight some. Now, this right here, that's my favorite extension. In fact, since we're talking about that right now, I'm going to show you how that works. This is only a premium extension. You will only get this if you have the premium license in the cloud, and that's it. So let's show you what that does. Standard and premium both offer you mobile device support, but this takes it a step further. This is actually an attended connection. So I'm going to go into my support tab, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this grid. It will look different based on your layout, but you'll still see this grid. And I'm going to click view. Now what this does is this allows me to access someone's cell phone or tablet camera lens and see through the camera in real time. So I'm going to use my own phone. I'm running a Google Pixel 4 XL. I'm on Wi-Fi, so it should be okay. The last time I tried it, my phone didn't like it. So, oh, wrong number. Okay, so I'm going to send myself a text message. I just got a message that says you've been invited to a ConnectWise view session with a link. The link is, if I click that link, it's going to open up in my browser. And hey, look at this. Here is everyone's question. And there's my front yard. And I can turn this around, and here's my doors. So I can do that. I can flip the camera around to the front-facing or rear-facing camera if I need to. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Here's a loop. Sessions here. Sounds like Inception, right? So that's how that extension is really, really cool. That's my favorite extension. We just released that last January of 2019. So that's extension number 1 that I really enjoy. Let's go back into the extensions tab. The other extension you want to install is the, now this is here, Rigo, this is what you were talking about, but there's another way to do this too. Christopher, I think you were interested in this as well, but I'll show you guys how to do that. The app.config editor and the web.config editor, this is where you'll edit some of the colors that you were talking about, Chris, earlier, and any default settings. I think it was Dana that was asking about that. So when you go to when you hit edit here, you're going to have a bunch of on and off switches. Now you want to make a backup of this in case you mess something up. But if you hover over something, it'll tell you what it does. So you definitely want to play around with this and see what these do. Like I said, this is too expansive for me to show you. You'll have to kind of go through this and do some experimenting. Christopher, every extension that I'm showing you is installed manually. The account is really only going to come with one extension pre-installed, and that's called the Remote Workforce extension. But everything else, you would go into our marketplace and download that, and I'll show you how to do that too. So once you're happy with how this looks, you'll hit the save app.config. Now everything that you set here is going to be global. It's going to affect every user, not just you or specific users. Yeah, Christopher, I'll scroll from the top to the bottom. These are all just, this is a test environment, so a lot of these extensions you probably won't even need, but you can see what I've got installed here. The web.config editor changes the look and feel of the tool, so this is also going to require you to do a backup, but you'll just change these values based on what you need. Now, I just can't do this on a demo because it's just too expansive, but you can work with our support team to determine what these do and make sure you make some backups, because if you do something wrong, you can always go back to what you had. Christopher's asking, do multiple extensions slow down your sessions? I've never had anyone complain about that. I've never noticed that myself either, so I would venture to say no. Dana's got a question. On the trial version, I'm having issues printing the entire page using the remote printer, but not on the client's printer. Is this because I'm on a trial? Dana, the answer is no. The trial is unrestricted, so you shouldn't be having that issue. That I would definitely get with our support team, send them an email using help@connectwise.com, and they'll troubleshoot what's going on. So those were three sessions three extensions that I really enjoy. I like this one too, guest initiated chat. And what that does is, when you go to the instance, if one of your clients goes to your site, it'll do this. I can start a new chat session, and so can they. Hello, 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 boop, 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 boom. And then they just start sending you messages. And then you'll get a notification right here. This is what I just did. I just did that as the client. So the chat extension is really helpful for someone to just go to your site and request a session right away. Yeah, Varden, I'll show you guys how to do that here in just a second here. He's asking about installing extensions. So there's a lot that you can do here. This is the remote diagnostic toolkit that I was telling you about earlier with those 4 special tabs for the premium license. This is a reporting dashboard, which gives you this dashboard right here. So there's obviously a bunch here that you may never need to use. But when you go to browse online extensions, you can use any extension that you see here with 2 exceptions. Premium extensions are for the premium license only. Access extensions are for the access license only. So if it says access on the top left like that in that corner, the little banner, you won't be able to use it unless you have that license. And this shows you what you've got installed. There's a lot in here. There's language packs. I mean, there's a whole bunch you can do with this. So I would take some time and kind of go through and see what you think you need. So that's the extensions tab. Let's hop into security. Security is where you're going to start creating your users and syncing user sources like Active Directory, LDAP, all that good stuff. Make custom roles here and revoke access. Now, the roles, these are going to dictate what a user can and cannot do. You're going to hit create user, you're going to set the credentials, put in the details, and assign them a user role based on what you want them to be able to see and do. You can get very customizable with this. Rigo, that would be a better question for support. I won't be able to help you with that on this demo, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I would send them an email using help@connectwise.com. So Chris is asking a good question. I want to show you guys this. So whenever you make a trial, the email and password that you set when you first go to the trial form and you're entering everything, that is the cloud administrator, the overlying, the master admin, the guy who can do everything. Whenever you connect to a session, though, it's going to say your computer is being controlled by cloud administrator. In order to get around that, if you want to say your computer is being controlled by Christopher or Steve or Dana or whatever, you're going to have to make yourself a second set of credentials. So you would put your credentials here, and the display name, that is what is displayed when you say your computer is being controlled by whoever. So for mine, it's C. Alvarez. It'll say your computer is being controlled by C. Alvarez. Make that second set of credentials for that purpose, and you can use the cloud admin credentials for managing billing and that kind of thing. So go ahead and make as many users here as you want. There's no cost to that. It's unlimited for all of our licenses. Here's where you'll create and edit roles. Hit edit here. These are all on and off switches. So I want this person to be able to uninstall sessions. No. Okay, uncheck that box. So that's going to take some customizing too. You will need to play around with that to suit whatever your specific needs are. Moving on to the database tab, this is where you'll do some maintenance. You can purge data. You really don't have much of a reason to be in here unless you just like to keep things kind of tidy. Create different actions here. Store data for X amount of time. Here you go. This is what I was talking about. It'll delete data for older than 30 days. You can increase that to whatever you need. This is for the mail configuration. This is mainly for where all the correspondence for the account is going to go to and how 2FA is going to work. I didn't mention that earlier, but 2FA is done through here. So you're going to create user and you're going to set up the 2FA method right here. And we have documentation to help you do that. You can set triggers. So if a machine goes offline and you want to know, you can set a trigger here with the right parameters, and then you'll get an email notification that a machine has been offline for 15 minutes or whatever you need. This is where you'll change the look and feel of the tool as well as the web.config editor. This changes the actual look of it. So you can change, it's a completely white label. So everything that you see here, all the colors, fonts, everything, logos, all that can be branded to your company. Now, one thing I want to note here is if you're on a trial, you're not going to see this. This is only available once you purchase a license. Actually, let me check on Authy for you. I think I did say that. Actually, I know I did, but I think I might have been wrong. Let me check on that for you really quickly here while we're on it. Just a minute, guys. Here, I will show this to you. Divyang is asking, can you add this to your own private domain? Can you elaborate on that? I'm not exactly sure what you meant. Almost there, Christopher. Got to click through a couple things to get to where I need to be. All right, here we go. So I'm going to show you. So this is what you can use for authentication. So Authy is not approved there. I myself use Google Authenticator. By default, the system will be on email, but you can use SMS. Google Auth is just easier for me as I've always got my cell phone on me anyway. So hopefully that helps. Now we're going to go into the audit tab here. Rigo and Christopher, I know you guys were asking about this earlier. So I'm going to set my timeline for 30 days from today. Going back, I'm going to query that report. Divyang, so to answer your question, The landing page is always going to be .screenconnect.com. You cannot change that. You can purchase a new domain and have a redirect, but the landing page is always going to be .screenconnect.com. So this is where you'll do the audit report. This shows everything that's been done, every connection, every disconnection, every IP address, what they did inside, all that stuff into one report. So for example, let me find my command prompt that I did earlier. So this is me. This was me earlier. I ran my command. And it's kind of hard to kind of dig through this here, but when you export this, it's going to show you all the details. Now, where's the video? Because I know you guys were asking about the video earlier. Should be showing up. Let's see. It may still be processing. So this is where, if the video had already been processed and everything was good on that end, you would see an option here to download video, which I don't see. It would be a hyperlink here. So you download the video, it's stored in the cloud, but you can download that video locally whenever you need it. Now the video does not include audio, so keep that in mind, it's just the video. The configuration tab, this is where you'll be using what's called, this is a lot easier if I show you this. So this tab is not going to show up unless you install this extension right here, the Advanced Configuration Editor. This is going to change a lot of different values on the screen, on the tool, and frankly, I don't ever use it, so it's going to be difficult to explain on a demo here. But a lot of people will just have this just to have the option. This is not something that you want all of your users to be able to access, because anything they change here is going to affect all the users and the way the tool works, and that could cause a problem if you've got people making changes not understanding how that works. So again, this is done through the Advanced Configuration Editor, and then you'll see that configuration tab right there. Dominic posted a quick answer. So he found a workaround, and he said that he uses a DNSA record to connect to connect.company.com, whatever your domain ends up being. So that's helpful. Thanks, Dominic. And this is the dashboard. This is done through the reporting dashboard, which is a premium extension, but that's also available for the Access license. And this allows you to filter out different things based on what you're looking for. This can all be exported to a CSV as well. Let me backtrack a minute because I didn't show you how to do that. So when you go to query the report, let's let that download real quick. I should have picked a small time frame. Okay, so we're going to go to query this audit to log to a CSV. I clicked that. It's being downloaded. There's my file. Now here's all that data. And now if you're really good at Excel, which I am not, then you can filter all this stuff out and get the data that you're looking for. So it's really just a lot of in-your-face stuff at front. Dashboard here can also be exported to a CSV. This gives you some more granular information about the instance and what is actually occurring. A lot easier to view, see what your users are doing, what kind of connections they're making, that kind of stuff. It can all be done here and downloaded to a CSV download options right here. And that is pretty much it. That's a really high level view of control itself. You guys had some good questions, so I appreciate that. Are there any Any other questions, anything that's lingering? I did not forget about the Mac thing, so don't worry about that. I will send you all a follow-up email on Steve's question. Anything else that you guys can think of that you want to discuss? Give you guys a minute here. Dana, so our pricing is posted. Let me do this for you guys here. I can't really discuss pricing here because it's just going to be specific to everyone, and it's too much to kind of think about and generalize. So here's our pricing links. Here's some other helpful links here. So all this right here is super helpful, and I would recommend all of you guys to at least go to help.screenconnect.com. Oh, okay, I'm back. I lost my connection. So that's where I've been pulling my documentation. We have all our videos and articles there. Yeah, I can definitely send these links in an email afterwards. Not a problem at all. As far as any COVID promotions, all we're doing at the moment is you're able to get premium features for free until June 30th if you buy a lesser package. Abby is asking, is it possible to prevent users from disabling the service in an unattended environment? No, you cannot do that. Okay, guys. Yeah, that's what is Backstage? So Backstage allows you to issue PowerShell commands and interact with the UAC prompts as needed. Yes, we do offer the option to download today's recorded demo. That typically takes a couple of hours to process. So I'll send you guys an email later this afternoon. It's about 12:08 Eastern time at the moment. Yes, let me show you the Backstage mode again here. So I'm going to go into this machine here. So I'm going to go into the View tab, look down and click Backstage. And there's my Backstage mode right here. Is that what you wanted to see, Christopher, or did you want something specific? Yes, correct. You have to be connected to, yes, that's right. Cool, okay. Avi's asking, is it possible to control cell phones or just observe them? That's a good question. Let me show you guys this. So whenever you're talking about mobile device support, I'll put it this way, Control can do mobile device support in view-only mode, whether it's Android or iOS. The only exception to that is Samsung and I believe LG. Those are the two manufacturers that allow you to actually control the screen as well as see it. So I'm on a PC, I'm going to connect to my cell phone. The end user, which is me in this case, needs to download the Control app from their respective store. Now they're going to do the same thing you would do on a computer. They're going to enter in the website and the code. In this case, the code is 39225. No, I just put that into my code and I've approved the session. There you go. My green light is on. I'm going to join this session now. Let's hope my phone doesn't cause any issues here. Oh, I just left it. Let's try again. Well, this is a little awkward. My phone is not letting me broadcast for whatever reason. I will try one more time. End that session. What I was going to do is just show you my cell phone screen and show you how that works. So I'm going to make a new session, 10922. There we go. There we go. Okay. So here's my cell phone. So I can scroll around and mess with things on my phone. Now, I'm manipulating this. I am not doing this with my computer. This is literally my thumb across the screen. A lot of latency, as you can see right now. So I'm going to lower the quality of the session. It's a little bit better, but still some latency, and that's just inherent to, I think it's my phone and my connection. You're not always going to see that. So that's mobile device support. Hopefully that helps out. Okay, great questions, guys. I really appreciate that. Always fun when people ask questions. So I think that we are good. I don't see any other pending questions, anything like that. Steve, I won't forget about you and everyone asking for that MEC information as well as a copy of today's recorded demo. I'll go ahead and end this now. You'll get a follow-up email on the demo itself. I'd appreciate any feedback. If I was talking too fast, too much, whatever the case is, let us know. We're happy to adjust our methods here. Anyway, thanks, Chris. Always appreciate these kind words. Thanks, Avi. I appreciate that too, Avery. All right, guys, I'll go ahead and end this now. Keep an eye out for an email from me later, and my details will be in that email. So if you want to reach out to me directly, I'm happy to get back on a call with you and discuss pricing and licensing. Dana, I know that. Oh, yeah. Here, I'll just end the demo with this. You guys can see that. So we should be good to go. All right, guys. Take care. Bye now.